up, farm? How you going? So, as you may have seen in the title of this video, we have a little bit of a dilemma. We're not quite sure what to do with this paddock. So, for the last 9 years, this paddock has been a rotation of vetch for hay and then wheat for grain. Vetch, wheat, vetch, wheat, vetch, wheat for 9 years. And once again, it has worked well. It's worked really well. Vetch hay is quite reliable, and it sets up your wheat crop really well. This year, it was planned to be vetch. It was all penciled in. We'd planned to sow it, but I've been thinking about it, and I don't know. I think I might try something different. We'll just run through some figures. The paddock is about 36 hectares, some pretty good black dirt on either end, but there's a red rise through the middle that can get quite wet if the season is quite wet. But if it's dry, it holds water really well. So it was a wheat stubble last year, pretty handy wheat crop on there. We wanted to go for a legume of some kind to put some nitrogen back in the soil, but also so that we could get another chance at spraying out our grass weeds in that paddock. So really our options were to go for vetch hay like we'd planned. We could sow beans, we could sow chickpeas, or we could sow lentils. Really, for our area, that's all that we have. Having said that, that is a fairly big pool of crops to choose from. So we'll start with vetch. Vetch is a good crop. Vetch for hay is what I will be growing. The first plus is it's reliable. It's really, really reliable. You're always going to get some kind of a hay crop. Doesn't matter if you get a frost or anything like that, you'll always get hay. Vetch doesn't love wet feet, but we had been sowing Balanza clover with our vetch for hay, and when the vetch watered out, the Balanza clover would just take over. So it's kind of a win-win. The downside with vetch for hay is that it can be tough to sell sometimes. I have 2 years worth of hay sitting in my yard that I haven't sold yet. Well, one of them is sold to Dad, but he hasn't picked it up yet. But grains are a lot easier to move, I think. I think you can just take them in a truck and someone will buy them somewhere. Vetch hay can be a lot more difficult. So that's probably the biggest negative of vetch hay. Off that paddock, we would probably look at getting 100 to 110 tons of hay, and at $200 a ton, that's about $20,000. Now you've got about $5,000 worth of baling costs to come out of that, and then yeah, you're back to about $15,000. We could sow beans. Beans are also a good crop, and we have beans in over the road. Probably my biggest thing against them is I didn't want to have all my eggs in one basket. I didn't want to have all my legume being beans, so we kind of put them out the window. Then the race was chickpeas or lentils. Chickpeas, they're also a good crop, and they're talking the price to be really good this year. But the biggest downfall is if you don't, this is so my agronomist has told me, if you don't get warm weather with sufficient moisture at the end of the season, they just don't yield like they're supposed to. They're a little bit more temperamental in that regard. They'll keep growing longer into a dry spell, but they are a little bit temperamental at the end. Then we get to lentils. Now, lentils, I've never had anything to do with lentils, but I've got a good lot of good people around me who've had a lot of experience with lentils, and from what I've heard, they're a pretty reliable crop. They grow pretty well. You can look at getting usually 1 to 2 tons of lentils per hectare, and if you're selling them for $800 a ton, what's that? Like $1,600 a ton per hectare. So really, that's pretty good. A few people have told me that you need to be really onto the insecticide and the fungicide on the lentils, because both of those things, the disease and the bugs can really knock the crop around. But apart from that, there's not really a lot of big crop. There's not really a lot of big costs like there is with hay, such as cutting and baling, or with a grain or canola crop, such as fertilizer. So yeah, we're gonna go for lentils and we're gonna see how it goes. So at the moment, I've got the trailer hooked on the back. We're going to a fellow farmer's base in town, and we're gonna pick up some lentil seed. All right, we got our lentils home, and oh, that one nearly fell off twice actually. I got it straightened up thanks to Jonty. We picked up our pre-emergent chemical for it, another knockdown. Now we're just going to unload them so that when we're ready to sow them, we can put them straight in the air seeder. So in case you've never seen lentils in the supermarket before, or if your mum never used them in cooking, this is lentil. It's a food grade crop. Hopefully it's good enough to be food grade. And yeah, I'm really interested to see how they grow. All right, what up, farm? So it's been a little bit of time since I did some filming. I picked up the lentils early on last week. It's Sunday afternoon now. I've got the lentils in the box. The box has enough fertilizer in it, and we're on the road up to my farm to get these lentils sown. We're doing it, Alex. The lentils are going in. Now we're slowed down. We're only doing 7 Ks because the chemical that we sprayed on here, Reflex, might be it's pretty tough on the lentils, so we don't want any soil throw from one row into the next. So that's why we're going nice and slow. It's going to take some time, but it'll be worth it, I'm sure. So as I was saying before, I sprayed this paddock last night, so we'll load it up. It's lentil pre-emergent. Here we go. So now I'll load that one on that side. I'm able to see this is where I sprayed last night. This is where I've sown. Pretty handy. You've found the seat up and down button, haven't you? so we've been sowing along. We've done about 17 hectares, and now it's time to check how much is left in the box. Oh yeah, some in there. I think it's probably going out about right. Maybe a little bit too fast. Don't know, we'll leave it for now. Still got plenty of fertiliser, that's good news. Alright, we've just finished the lentils. Now we're gonna jump up the ladder here and see how much we've got left. Oh, I think we judged that pretty well, really. That looks very good. Sometimes you have a win. We should have plenty of fertiliser. Yep, heaps. Cool. Well, that is good news.